In this episode, we'll be discussing brand identity. And that is essentially all the visual components that make up your brand, that make your brand easily identifiable and recognizable. Hi there, and welcome back to the Brand Pod by BaseX Studio. My name is Otto Abasi, and I'm here to help you build your brand. For over a decade, I've worked with people and organizations from all walks of life, delivering brand strategies, designs, and websites. And today, I help my clients build brands that inspire them and resonate with their audience. I started this YouTube channel to help you understand branding and how to apply its lessons and techniques to help your business stand out and connect with its people. This video is part of the How to Build a Winning Brand series, which covers the different steps and pillars we look at when building out your brand strategy and brand identity. In this video, like I said, we're talking about brand identity. We're talking about all the visual components that make up your brand and make your brand identifiable and recognizable. So, brand identity. Now, this is the fun stuff, right? This is the really exciting stuff. This is what most people think about when they really think about brand identity or think about brand as a whole. What they're really thinking about is the look and feel, the logo, the colors, the visuals. That's really what most people think about when they think about branding. But you see, like over the past few weeks, we've gone over brand strategy, right? Essentially all the different pillars. And it's taken us so long just to get to brand identity, right? That's because before you get to designing, before you even start creating your logo or choosing your colors or choosing all those things, it is good to have a sense of what all these other things are, to start having them defined. What your brand is, what your audience is, what your values are, what your personality is, what your messaging is. Because when you have all of that in place, it becomes much easier to create the visuals that support that, as opposed to just creating visuals out of nothing, out of vibes, and then trying to make that fit the rest of your brand as you go along. So it is super important to kind of have that sense about your brand, and that's why it's important to do a bit of research first, do a bit of introspection, do a bit of thinking, do a bit of strategizing before you get to the point of designing, just so that whenever your designer is working or whenever you're designing, that you're working from a space of having defined all these other things around your brand and knowing exactly who you are and having a sense of what success looks like for what you look like. So that is the essence of that. That's brand identity, and that's its hierarchy, or that's its placement in the entire process of things of how to create your brand and your brand strategy. Brand identity, also known as visual identity, it's all the visual stuff that make up your brand. Your look and feel, your visuals have to paint a clear picture of your brand, of your company, through colors, through fonts, through imagery, through all that stuff. See, as humans, we're very visual creatures, right? We respond to visual cues. We have visceral reactions to things that we find beautiful, and all of that. And that is a very important lever to play with when it comes to brand building and creating this whole thing. One of my favorite design quotes is by Paul Rand, who said, "Design is the silent ambassador of your brand." And I always think that's so profound, because you can just tell. You can look at a piece of design, you can look at a flyer or a business card or whatever, and you can already glean a lot of things about that business. You can see how sophisticated or how not sophisticated they are. You can see, you can get a sense of, if they're really taking this seriously or not, if they're more fly by night or if they're really established and really respected. You already get a sense of that through their visuals, through their design, through their look and feel. And having good visuals, having a good design can help shortcut you through a lot of conversation, through a lot of spaces, by giving people the impression of a really high quality product or a high quality brand, even if you're not quite there yet. And that is the power of design, to be able to sell that idea, to be able to sell that ideal. And that's the importance of it. Aesthetics of your brand can be the difference between conveying to the audience, conveying to your customer that you're the one for the job, that you're the best one, or that you don't know what you're doing and you're still figuring shit out. That is how important your visuals can look. They can entirely change the game as to how people perceive you, interact with you, and expect from you. So brand identity, very, very important stuff. So, but what are the components, right? Because if you think brand identity, you probably think your logo, you would think of your stationery, your business cards, your signature, maybe your social media stuff, like just basically the look and feel, the colors, the fonts, the shapes, the fonts, the things that you use in creating this visual system for your brand. Yeah, the components of your brand identity are things like your logo, your brand colors, your typography, your imagery, patterns, graphic elements, icons, all that stuff, right? That's what makes up your brand. It's a combination of all those things that now brings the unique expression of visual look and feel that is your brand. So, by looking at your stuff, by just encountering any material of yours, people should be able to get a sense of what your brand is, what it stands for, what its personality is, what it's trying to achieve, so on and so forth. Just from looking at any of those touch points, this should kind of now give this subconscious vibe of feeling towards things. So let's just go through the different segments. So your logo is the one that everyone knows. Your logo is a visual symbol or symbols. Sometimes they combine text and iconography or imagery to form this identifying mark, this mark that says that this is this business, this is this brand. So logos are very popular, very known. We all know it. It's that mark that like symbolizes, this is my business. It comes all the way from the branding of cars that we talked about way back in our Branding 101 episode. So yes, your logo is that, a visual symbol or symbols, often combining text and imagery that identify your brand. It needs to be memorable and easily recognizable, and that key word there is identify. So your logo doesn't necessarily have to have things in it that speak to what you do. So if you're a farmer, you don't need to have a tractor in your logo, or, it doesn't need to be descriptive. It just needs to identify. So it can be abstract, it can be whatever, it can be all these different things. It just needs to identify. So someone sees that mark and knows that, that is that brand, that is that business. That's what a logo is really, really, really about. Also the colors, that's the other element of brand identity, the colors, the color spectrum, color layout of your brand. And colors are important because colors have associated meanings, connotations, feelings, cultural stuff associated with it. So the colors that you choose for your brand are important. They've got to complement what the brand is about and the space that they play in. You don't want colors that clash with the essence of what that brand should be. You want colors to complement and reinforce the identity, reinforce the essence behind that brand and how you bring it to life. Typography is also very important. So typography is the fonts that you use for your brand. And you can say the exact same thing in two different fonts and it will give off two different feelings to people, and that's why typography is very important. The fonts that you choose, if you choose silly, unserious fonts, you're going to give the sense that your brand is silly and unserious. If you choose sophisticated fonts, you choose unique but really, really high class fonts, all those things say things about you. Serif, sans serif, calm, relaxed, professional, whatever, all these different styles of fonts, they all say a thing, and choosing the right fonts would help express the kind of brand that you want to put out into the market. Another element of brand identity is imagery. So, your photography, your iconography, your illustrations, the way you illustrate ideas and image make are very, very important. The vibe, the tone, the mood, those all speak to your brand identity, your brand personality, your brand values, and all of that. So you want to have designs, you want to have images, you want to have imagery that complements and speaks to the essence of what your brand is and how you bring, like I said, how you come to the market. So, if you're an excited brand, you want dynamic, interesting, bold imagery. If you are more of a reliable, competent brand, then you want brands that speak to that speak to high technical ability, that speak to dependability, that speak to competence and stuff, right? So, you bring those elements of your personality and brand values into your brand identity through imagery and things like that as well. And then you have graphic elements like your patterns, textures, graphics, all these different elements that basically just add body to your brand identity. They give more life to your designs, to your different touch points. And the entire system of all these different pieces is what makes up your brand identity. And if you have a system that works well, that is harmonious, that is all connected, then you have a brand that is visually compelling and visually stimulating, and that hopefully speaks to and expresses exactly what your brand essence is, what your personality is, what your goals are, what you're trying to do in the world, in the marketplace, and for your consumers. So all these pieces have to work cohesively to make up your brand identity. And for a visual identity to be successful, right, it has to be suitable. So it has to be well suited for the field and the environments that it plays in, suited for the audience that it's trying to communicate with. It also has to be distinct, meaning that it has to stand out and look different from competitors. You've got to be able to point it out in the crowd of different brands. It's got to be simple so that people can look at it and understand what they're looking at and be able to easily recall it. The more complicated a logo is, the harder it is to remember. So you want simplicity. It's always key. You want to make it timeless so that at least the visual foundations can stand for a long time. You always need to refresh and improve or refine or evolve your brand identity, if not for the sake of just variety, but at least to match up with the times, because like trends come and go and things change. But you want to always respect the fundamentals and the foundations and make sure that there's a timeless quality about your brand. So no matter in what era you start to reinvigorate or reinterpret it, you can still rely on those strong foundations. It also needs to be functional, meaning that, for instance, is the logo visible at different sizes? So if I'm looking at it on my phone, on an app, or I'm looking at it on a billboard driving down the highway, I should still be able to recognize the brand just by seeing it. So it's got to be functional at different scales and different sizes, and it's got to do what it needs to do in those specific contexts. It also needs to be adaptable. And like I said, there's all these different contexts in which we can encounter a brand or a brand identity. It's got to be flexible enough to be able to work in different contexts. For instance, we've got adaptable, responsive logos, like the Amazon, for instance, logo. You've got the full lockup, and then you've got the smaller one. You've got the one with just the A, and you've got the one with just the smile and the arrow. And that's an example of a logo that works in different resolutions and in different scales. And you need that for your business, because you're going to be on social media, you're going to be out in the world, you're going to be in all these different contexts. You want to make sure that your logo or your visuals can adapt and work well in every context. So yeah, brand identity, this is the fun stuff, this is the cool stuff, this is stuff we like to do, the design. This is the thing that really, really excites people and gets people going. But it should be rooted in a deep understanding of all the fundamentals, all the things we talked about: your brand core, your brand audience, your vision and mission, your values, your competitors, your positioning, your messaging, your personality. All of that needs to root and inform what you do on the design side, and not the other way around. And if you're able to do this, then you can have you have a very strong and cohesive visual identity that will allow you to stand out and be remembered in the mind of your customer, in the mind of your audience. If you do it well, people can just see your color or see a silhouette of your logo or see a shape and know that that is you. And when you've done that, you've built that deep layer of memorability and recognition in the mind of your audience, which is very important to be consistent in the use of your brand. Don't use the font here today and not different font tomorrow. Don't use these colors in your logo today and these colors in your logo tomorrow. No, you're going to have consistency with your brand application and your brand expression so that you can build that bank of memorability over time in the mind of your customer. So yes, that is brand identity. That's what it is. Hope that explained and impressed upon you the importance of brand identity, and not just that, the importance of the strategy and everything behind it and how that feeds into it. In our next episode, we'll be discussing offer creation, customer experience, the ways you can actually start to bring your brand to life in your products, in your services, in the experience that you give your customers. Until then, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy brand building.